Who would have thought Max Verstappen would finish sixth in Bahrain? Not exactly the kind of result you'd expect from a four-time world champ. The struggles began early, right from qualifying, where things were already off track. The car just isn't good enough, and Max knows it better than anyone. Right now the championship feels out of reach, and he's clearly not in the fight to win it. But does that mean he's thinking of leaving the team? If not, how long can he keep putting up with this? And what can he realistically do to help fix the situation? The Bahrain race felt like a mess from start to finish for Max. There was a moment during the second pit stop when he found himself all the way at the back. From there, things only improved thanks to a perfectly timed safety car. That gave him a much-needed breather and a shot to climb back. And somehow, by the end, he managed to overtake Gasly on the final lap and grab P6. Still, it wasn't the kind of race he'd ever hoped for. Throughout the race, Max kept voicing his frustration on the radio, especially about the brakes. Things got worse once Hamilton overtook him. Max just couldn't keep the grip on the hard tires. At one point, he shouted, "I can't even brake anymore, this is ridiculous." That wasn't the only moment of concern. He also complained about everything overheating, which might not have been just about the car. It looked like even he was struggling physically inside the cockpit. What started as a tough day became even worse when he had to stop a second time, way earlier than planned. That drop pushed him to the very back of the pack. Sure, the safety car helped him recover some ground, but let's not sugarcoat it. Being stuck behind an Alpine and a Haas because your car won't behave under braking isn't something you can brush off. After the race, Max didn't hold back. His comment? "Oh my God, that was difficult. Jesus!" It said everything. The braking problems weren't just a race day surprise, they'd been haunting the team since qualifying. Even Helmut Marko pointed out how urgent it is to fix this, if Max is going to perform anywhere close to his best. And then there's the shocking part. Yuki Tsunoda, in the same machinery, was almost matching Max both on Saturday and Sunday. That really underlines how far off the pace the RB21 is right now. If the issues continue, there's a serious risk of the team slipping into midfield territory. It's not just the car either. The pit crew hasn't exactly been helping either. Slow stops are shaving off precious seconds Max can't afford to lose, especially when he's already working with a machine that's under-delivering. What's even more worrying, Max already sounds like he's given up on fighting at the front. For someone with his track record and mentality, that's not something you hear every day. It's becoming clear this season might already be slipping away. Even though Max showed he can squeeze every last bit out of the car, some things are just out of his hands. 2 sluggish pit stops alone cost him nearly 10 seconds, something no driver wants to deal with. Sure, part of the delay was due to the pit lights giving the wrong signal, but that doesn't make it any less frustrating. These aren't just one-off errors, they're stacking up at the worst possible time. Watching Max stuck behind an Alpine for what felt like forever, then being passed cleanly by an 18-year-old rookie like Antonelli, is the kind of situation that makes you stop and question what's really going on at Red Bull. They're not just missing the mark, they're falling behind. The RB21 is clearly struggling, and unless something changes quickly, Max won't even be fighting for podiums, let alone wins. Even the track surface worked against him. The Bahrain asphalt was eating into the tires, making things worse once. He switched from softs to hards. Once Max moved on to the hard tires, things just kept going south. He couldn't bring the tires up to the right temperature range, which made the car feel even more stubborn. Apart from the brake complaints, he also radioed that the car wasn't turning properly. A nightmare when you're hitting the brakes from 300 down to 100 km/h just before turn 1. These kinds of issues aren't just frustrating, they're dangerous. Now there's a bigger concern. What happens if this trend continues? Max has a clause in his contract, confirmed by both Helmut Marko and Christian Horner, that opens the door for a potential exit if performance drops too low. And right now, That clause might not seem so far-fetched. It's not just rumors anymore. Talks between Max's camp and teams like Mercedes and Aston Martin have happened before. That alone shows he's keeping his options open. And when you look at how far the team has fallen, you can't blame him for considering other paths. Even before the race in Bahrain, Max didn't sound too hopeful. When asked about his chances in the 2025 championship, his response was blunt. "McLaren isn't my rival right now. I'm just part of this championship." That kind of statement doesn't just reflect disappointment. It shows he's mentally checked out of the title fight. He also pointed out during winter testing that the gap to McLaren was about half a second per lap. And now, after a few races, it's proving to be true. Looking at the season overall, Max never really believed they had a solid chance. If others make mistakes, sure, Red Bull might sneak ahead now and then like in Suzuka. But those are rare exceptions. Most weekends, it's clear they're off the pace. It's one thing to have technical problems, but seeing Max's confidence break down this quickly? That's not something we're used to, especially from someone known for pushing even through tough times. After everything that's happened, even a P6 finish might seem like a small victory for Max, especially considering he was dead last after his second pit stop. Thanks to the safety car and fresh tires, he managed to pick up a few spots. But make no mistake, this was not the result he wanted, and it's not one that Red Bull can be proud of either. For all the teams talk about improving, it's hard to ignore that the same issues keep popping up. From slow pit stops to tire struggles and constant braking problems, they're falling further behind. Even with all the talent Max has, it's becoming clear that he can't just drag the car to the front every weekend. With other teams like Mercedes and Ferrari closing the gap and McLaren making huge strides, Red Bull has a lot to fix. Max has the ability to get more from the car than most, but if things don't change soon, he may seriously consider his future. At this point, Red Bull needs to act fast. Otherwise, the season could slip away even faster than they realize.